Hello, welcome to an episode of Inflatable Slip Authority where I'm testing boards and telling you how I feel. Today we are doing the Sea God Soulflower 11-foot CX. So we'll be going through tracking maneuverability, stability, and a little bit of speed, although that's going to be a little more difficult with this board, and I'll tell you why in a sec. Okay, so now we're going to stand on the board here. Whew. A little bit of a ninja spring there. So, okay, that was me being an idiot. But, so I have stood on this board a little bit before, and I'd say it's pretty stable. I'd say out of the Sea God's boards I've tested, that the Skyla CX, the Diatom CX, as well as Diatom, the original version, can't think of the name right now. I'd say that those boards are a little more stable than this board. ULF, that's what it's called, Diatom ULF. Those other ones are a little more stable than this, but this is still a pretty good board to paddle. Now there's something a little bit different about this board. It's the way the paddle is designed. So you can see there's a little bit more of like an angle to the actual paddle blade. So as a result, it's kind of hard to do like the traditional paddle stroke of going forward and then just releasing from your foot. Instead, you're doing like a full motion. So like I'll demonstrate here. So you're doing that essentially. You're doing the full stroke with this one. So this is far from a traditionalist board, but you know what? Not a lot of people want to do traditionalist things on paddle boards. Some people just like doing the full motion. Actually, I'd say a lot of newer paddle boards, maybe even like, if I was to put a percentage, like 70% of them like to paddle just like that, and that's perfectly fine. But do whatever suits you. Right now we're just at Nickel River, Crescent Beach. Beautiful little day here. Okay, now we're gonna do some reverse sweep strokes. CMA for a 360. The little boat gas station would be our waypoint. So let's do it. Three reverse sweep strokes. That's actually a pretty good rating for 11-foot board. It did actually a very similar reading with the Skyla CX, which kind of makes sense because they are both the same, actually similar dimensions, both 11 feet, 33 inches wide. So interesting. Now we're gonna do some reverse side paddles. Going backwards a little bit, that's okay. CMA for 360, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's Mark stretching. 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, so we'll say, wow. 9 side paddles. That's actually a very impressive score, especially this up, 9.5. That's really good. I think the average is like 11 to 12 for all around boards, so this has definitely surpassed it. Pretty dang maneuverable board. Okay, we're gonna try tracking tests again, a little bit of a calmer section here, just to get a better reading. So we're gonna use the pole in the middle, so let's try it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Now the other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Yeah, I think this is a little more accurate. So we'll say 6 strokes a side. There's a little bit calmer water. There's not as much disturbance here. So pretty decent rating. It actually did a little bit of a better rating compared to the Carter Marina CX, which did 5. It's also very interesting. Okay, now we're gonna paddle fast, or at least what I can do with this board based on basically the way this paddle is set up, and see how it feels. So let's paddle a bit quicker here. So there's definitely some drag on the board for sure. This is definitely not the most hydrodynamic board out there. You can kind of see from the nose that their water is parting a little bit more compared to something like the Carter Marina CX. But I could actually still paddle at a fairly decent pace with this. Again, the way the paddle is set up, it's not really the best in terms of for speed, but it's also not meant to be. This is meant to be kind of like a casual paddling board just to get people out on the water. So I mean, it's definitely not the slowest board I've ever paddled. It moves fairly decently, but I would like to try the speed test with a different paddle to really see how fast this thing can motor. So what are my final impressions of this board? I think it's a good board. The ideal people that this is for would be beginners for sure. I think anybody who's just getting into paddleboarding, they want to start, they want a beautiful board as well. Like this board gives me serious Halloween vibes. It'd be pretty cool to paddle this board in October actually. It'd be very Halloween themed. But yeah, it had also, I'd say this board's surprising with its maneuverability. Now mind you, there is tide, tiny bit of wind, so that affects things. Maybe the readings are not 1000% correct. As you can see my friend doing squats. Yeah, overall this is a pretty good board for maneuverability. Great for beginners. The paddle is nice for people that just want to do nice full strokes of casual cruising. I definitely would not enter this board nor the paddle into like a sup race. Not designed for such. But it's just a nice board to kind of cruise on. Like this is a Wednesday evening and we're just cruising. And that's what this board is meant to do. So overall, it's a good board. I like it.